Hello guys, and I know last tutorial I said that I was going to go over if statements, but I didn't. So let's just go over what we learned last time. Oh, by the way, my name's Henry, and this is the third tutorial. Sorry for rushing into things. Anyway, so last time we went over a print statement where if you want to type words, you put it in quotes. So I can just type Henry. Or if you want to, that's just the basics of a print statement. Also, you can make variables by typing what you want to name the variable and then setting it equal to whatever you want. You either set it equal to like a string, you can set it 0, you can set it true or false, stuff like that. So, yeah, so this video we're going to be going over print statements. So, an if statement. So an if statement is basically saying if something happens, if something is true, do what's inside of the if statement. So we can say if, so we always start an if statement with if, and then we put what we want to check. So let's check if 3 is equal to 3. And as you can see, if I'm checking equal to, I put 2 equal signs because this is setting a variable. 2 equal signs is this. And then whenever we want to finish an if statement, we put a colon. Now a colon basically means it's like the start of a new loop. So this is kind of an if loop. So if this is true, then it'll do anything inside of it. And how do you tell what's inside of it? Well, anything that's inside of it has to be indented with a tab or 4 spaces. So I prefer to use a tab just because sometimes Python can get a little messed up if you use spaces. So just use a tab, and if 3 equals 3, let's print the world is not broken. So if we run that, the world is not broken because it checks if 3 is equal to 3. Now, we can also check if 3 is greater than 3, or is 3 less than 3, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And how we do or equal to is just putting an equal sign after it. So, you can also check stuff with variables. So we could say a equals hello and b equals world, and then if a equals b, so we're checking if hello is equal to world, and obviously that's not going to be true, so it's never going to print what we tell it to. So a is b will never get printed since hello is not the same as world. See, nothing prints out. But you can say if a is not equal to b, as you can see, a is not equal to b, so it should print out a is not b. A is not b. So that's basically an if statement. So feel free to play around with this and pause the video if you want. But yeah, so I guess so we can play around with if statements a little more. We'll just do like one more little exercise with it. So we could just do a equals 4, b equals 5, and if a is less than b, then let's print is true. So yeah, it is true. So yeah, that's basically if statements. It's just checking if one thing is true, checking if a statement is true, and if it is, then it'll print out. So why don't and this video I'm also gonna go over something called so let's say you want to print out hello 10 times. Hello, and just copy and pasting this on different lines is not that efficient. Going like this, that's not really efficient. because it takes a lot of memory for the computer. So a more efficient way of doing it is using something called a for loop. So a for loop is something that will repeat over and over again. So until something is met. So we can make it go 8 times. So for loops always start with for, and then we can call this anything we want. It's just going to be a variable to keep track of how many times we've done the loop. Usually programmers like using I, but you can call this anything you want. So you could call it counter, since it's going to be incrementing by 1. You could call this... You can call this anything you want, but people usually call it I. So for I in, after you write the variable, you're going to write in. So that basically says what you want to count. And then if you wanted to do something multiple times, you type range and then open and close parentheses. And then you write how many times you want to do something. So I want to print hello 10 times. And then, like you do with if statements, you put a colon. And then anything that you put inside or indent in this for loop is going to be done how many times you put in this range. So let's type in print hello. Let's put this capital. So yeah. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it prints it out 10 times. And yeah. So feel free to play around with this, and I'm just going to go over how you can even use this, because you might be like, oh, this is so useless, why would I ever want to do this? Well, you know what you could do? You could use it with variables. So you know how we said that the variable that you set in the beginning of this for loop, so it could be like for blah blah blah, anything that you want, or for I usually people use. So for I in range. So this variable, or whatever you put right here, is going to be increasing by 1 every time. And basically, every time this for loop loops, it checks if I is less than or equal to the number that you put in here. So if I put 10, you know what I can do? I can do print I. Oh, caps lock. Print I. And basically, what that's going to do is it's going to print out I, and then it's going to increment every time, so I will be more than 1 every time. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the reason it's starting from 0 is just because this for loop defaults to 0. So yeah, but doing this is more efficient than making a variable called a and then setting that to 0 and then increasing a by a plus 1 and then printing a. It's just easier to just do print I, or if you named this counter, or whatever you want to name this, you just put this here. So, yeah, I hope you understand this. If you don't, just feel free to leave a comment, and I'll probably get back to you fairly like soon after I post this. So, yeah, I hope you understand that. And the next part of this tutorial will be about while loops, choosing random numbers, and more. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, have a good day. Bye.